Hi, this is Dr. Rebecca Wood, and I'd like to welcome you to the Week 8 lecture, which I'm calling The Gateway to the Future. It's about the St. Louis literary scene and, of course, the authors that we read for this week. The first author for this week was Sally Benson, and I put it that she gave St. Louis the Hollywood treatment. This is a wonderful screenshot from the video that I posted in our lecture and resources on the trolley song in Meet Me in St. Louis. If you've never seen this movie, I highly recommend it. It has everything decorated up like it was 1904, and there's talk about going to the fair, and there's music. I can't imagine that if you haven't watched it that you wouldn't enjoy it. So I do recommend the movie, and it is kind of a historical artifact. The movie was made in 1944, which was considerably later than the 1904 World's Fair, but it still gives you that feeling of how we would imagine things were during the 1904 World's Fair. So that's our first author. And then our second author this week is David Carkeet, who is famous for his humor. Here's a book cover image from his website, and I love this little blurb here from The Atlantic. He says, or David Kippen said, "It's a baseball novel so funny that audiobook manufacturers hesitate to record it for fear of vehicular liability." So his essay in our textbook is humorous, but apparently he writes many, many other humorous books that you may want to pick up and explore. And so our essay this week, written by him, is about playing baseball at the Jewish Community Center, and he explores the way sports can build community. I really love the anecdote where he's got the dentist threatening the attorney and the attorney threatening to sue him, and so there's like kind of higher class verbal fist fights at their ball games. And then also to think about what he meant when he said he married into the tribe, and I know that partly he means marrying into the Jewish community. So take a look at that essay and read it, and there's some lovely humor in there, some of which is more subtle than others. And then Michael Castro, we are reading about the founding of the River Styx magazine in our reading assignments this week, and Michael Castro was the St. Louis Poet Laureate for 2 years. He is a strong advocate for poetry and the arts. I must say that I have met him several times and talked to him on the phone, and he's unfailingly polite and always interested in hearing from other people and very supportive, as I said. A little bit of name dropping. At one point, I was very active in the St. Louis Writers Guild, which is a wonderful organization. I give them a little commercial or two during this lecture. And this is an event that we did with Michael Castro and J.D. Perrin. And it was a night of poetry and music. And I will never forget the enjoyment we all got from that event, which was highly attended. And so this is a little promotional notice, which we had at the time. So it's kind of a historical artifact that I still had. So I put that in here. And then more name dropping. My former professor was Eugene B. Redmond. I took a poetry class with him back in the 1990s, and so it's always joyful to be able to read his work, and then to be able to study him in a class is just a wonderful experience for me and hopefully for you all too. And here's a picture of him at the SIUE Eugene B. Redmond Center. So I'm looking forward to visiting that center. I have not yet. So if you visit it, let me know what you think. So this is a picture of Eugene B. Redmond. And here's another one. He is the Poet Laureate of East St. Louis. He's been the Poet Laureate of East St. Louis for at least 20 years, and I've been to an event or two since he was my professor and listened to him read poetry. And so this is his website, and I highly recommend learning more about Dr. Redmond. He is a fabulous person, also very supportive of other writers and of the arts. and so he is still with us, and so he's a wonderful resource, and I recommend getting to know him, or at least learning more about him if at all possible. And so as we look forward, I know our class is ending, but I believe that we all have a creative spark inside, and we've learned about some wonderful things in St. Louis history and some terrible things in St. Louis history. And so I'm hoping that some of you may feel the desire to become more involved in the artistic community or the writing community, or learn more about history, possibly run for office, do things to make the world a better place. So I wish that all upon you, even though it probably would be a lot of work too. So it's been wonderful working with all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you.